Welcome. You have made it to Living Limitless, Play Your Way to Freedom. I'm Andrea Luzon. I'm here to connect with you as you awaken, play, and bring forward your power, your freedom, and your expansiveness. I am so excited to have Alicia Love with me today to share her wisdom with all of you. If you don't know her already, Alicia Love has 15 years of wellness coaching, a bachelor's degree in herbal science, and is trained in spiritual life coaching from Life Purpose Institute and certified from Soul Coaching International. Through personal practice, meditation, and soul coaching, she has learned to trust her intuition as her guide. Alicia provides guided meditation journeys, Reiki, and uses various other healing modalities to help her clients recenter, clear away disempowering beliefs, release internal blocks, calm fears, and trust guidance from within. Meditate with her on Insight Timer or her YouTube channel, and you can book with her at mindfulspiritcoaching.com. So thank you, Alicia, so much for joining us. So glad to
Thank
have you
you,
here.
Andrea. Yes, this is so fun and exciting. I'm so happy to be talking about play and how we can incorporate that. So fun.
Yes, me too. It's definitely what I'm calling forward in my life. Less rigidity, more play. And so
Yes.
I'd love to just pass the torch to you right from the get-go. And Alicia, would you tell us what inspires you to stay in this work that you do?
Not only does that feeling of expansiveness and play give me so much joy, but I love the grounded centeredness of being able to pivot and not feel pushed over by the events going on around me. That's really my biggest. I just love that feeling of grounded centeredness. It's the best.
So you help people get that. Do you know what it feels like? It sounds like you
I know
stand
what it
in.
feels like, and I know the road to get there. I love being a guide for people to find their own way to that destination, which is a constant evolving moment by moment experience. And it's a lot of times why clients come to my practice and find me is that they're looking for that sense of inner peace and they don't want the drama of their life to continually spiral them out or take them off center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. And it sounds like you're very experienced. And so the client would be in very good hands
It's
for sure.
been a really wonderful, lengthy career because wellness in the, holistic health industry, supplements and all of that has been, I'm an herbalist from college, which was going on 20 years ago. So that process of helping people with their health and balance in that way always led me back to an emotional, a spiritual, or belief system that was really causing some of that imbalance. So the more I dove into those things for myself, my own personal life, I was able to help my clients and I just kept going that direction. And now it's almost all I do. I love it so much. And if people would like a little support with health on a physical level, I love to be a resource, but that's that spiritual depth and the knowing and understanding of themselves is the juicy good stuff.
Right. Wow. And
Yeah.
so was your path into this work? I heard you talk about herbal awareness of herbal health or herbs in our health, but was your path, do you feel like you received messages growing up and you always knew you were going to do this? Or were there breakdowns to break through into the awareness of the need for this work?
It's kind of a yes and both. I knew at a young age, I was raised by really conscious parents. They were spiritual, not religious. They were into holistic health. And I was taught yoga and Tai Chi from my mother and my father. Like it was pretty awesome to have, all the religions of the world represented on our bookshelves and lots of philosophy that I was raised with. So I had an awareness, and I say at about 16, I had been meditating. My mom taught me how to meditate, transcendental meditation, and I knew I was a healer. I just had that knowing deep inside of me. So I could name it, but I didn't know what path to take. I had no idea what kind of healer I was going to be or what that meant in the world. I was so young. It was just, it's a long journey to getting there and knowing exactly how to help people. So luckily, I started studying botany when I was at the University of Georgia, and then found that they didn't know anything about herbal medicine. It was all taxonomy and very physical, very like structural. It had no application use. So I went out to Seattle to Bastyr University to find my way towards naturopathic medicine. I thought I would be a doctor, and I was very focused. That I thought that was my way to heal people. And while I was finishing up my bachelor's there in herbal science, I had a spiritual awakening. So I had a major shift. And if anybody listening knows astrology, Pluto moved into my first house, like in the middle of my senior year of college. I almost didn't finish because I was like, nope, not going to do that. That's not my path. But then that expansive unknown of where I was going to grow into was again a question in my mind. And I had been asking ever since I was 16 for my spiritual teacher to show up. It's like, who is it? And how do I learn this stuff? Because I'm really into this. And she
Mm.
did. She showed up right then when I needed her. It was that moment of unknown. And my friend, who I actually have a podcast with, Shelby, introduced me to Judy Yamamura, who is our spiritual teacher that has been she likes to be called our spiritual midwife, because she helped birth myself into the person that I am now. And it's been a journey I've been on ever since. I found soul coaching shortly after that and was using all of those practices for my own personal growth and development. And now I'm a facilitator and practitioner of that modality as well. So it's been a beautiful journey. Yeah.
That sounds amazing. So you're studying, you think that you're on a certain path, and then everything shifted. Like you kind of just went, this isn't working anymore. But then thankfully, a guide in human form
Yeah.
showed up to, so, and you did end up finishing, I
I
understand.
did. I graduated. I had a wonderful mentor there at school. He was a British trained herbalist, older gentleman that was just like, you're the type of person that finishes what she starts. And I was like, I am. I'm going to finish it. Even though it was not my passion, it's one of my passions. It just wasn't that soul calling that was
Mhm.
drawing me to more. I was like, oh, this is great. I've got this as a tool in my toolbox, and I've
Yeah.
used it for 17, 18 years. But the other tools, the spiritual tools, help me with everything in my life. And that's what I dove into.
Wow. I loved that you paid attention to the signs. Did you know Shelby? Did you meet Shelby in school? Or how did
We
you?
met in school. We were both belly dancing in this like
I'm
movement room, kind of an after school program. It was like a club. We had a belly dance club. But it was a way to connect with the feminine.
Mhm.
And we had this very held, womb-like supportive group of women that were all on this healing journey path because they were all in school to do some sort of natural medicine. She's a nutritionist, and we just really clicked. We were like soul tribe at the beginning. And so our 20-year friendship now has been this amazing journey of getting to mirror each other and support each other by just reflecting back what we see from our own experience back to each other. And our podcast is called Two Spiritual Mamas. So we're both mothers. We've just
Mhm.
been on this journey together, and it's so fun to talk about it and share our tools and our experience. And
I love the
we both
title.
continue to work with that spiritual teacher of ours. It's just been phenomenal how you can keep deepening and keep. I like to say it's like a refining of the energetic frequencies, right? You can really feel fullness, and for me, my heart chakra is like my biggest center of my being. But there's still some little like itchy, scratchy places in there that I want to smooth out, and so it's a constant practice.
Yeah. It's interesting. I've done a lot of work. I did a lot of work in the last 2 years, and then there was a prior to that, there was about at least an 8-year hiatus, and
Mm.
then prior to that had done, 5, 10 years of just, openness, exploration, following intuition, following the goddess, the bliss, and it's just so interesting. So coming back around as a more mature woman in the world, you get back into it and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to do all this work and all this study and all this self-examination and releasing of the stuck, the misbeliefs and all of that. And you're
Mhm.
like, okay, so I've hit this wall. And so I'm doing the work, I'm doing the work, I'm doing the work. And like now it's just going to be this escalator of continuous evolution and beauty. And it's just a straight line. And
Wouldn't we love it if it was like that?
it's just like this, and it's always going to get better. And then you're going to die and you're going to transform, and it's going to be, it's going to still be amazing. And then it turns out it's more like, do the work, hit a wall, study, examine yourself, learn, and kind of, this, and then up, and then plateau, and then down, and then,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. And so that's been, I think I love that a lot of people get into it and they're just like, wow, everything's fixed. I'm so good. I'm just coasting, and then days or weeks go by and you're like, oh, I'm still human. I still get to feel things and
We're all still human, yes, and
evolve.
it's a practice that we get to come back to. We just get to
Yeah.
keep coming back to it. I
Mhm.
always say that balance and centeredness is a constant motion. You think it's stationary, like a scale that balances to a stopping point, but it's really not. Like, think of walking. There's a constant checking in with your balance through every movement, and that's life. We're on a journey. We're on a moving platform that just keeps going, and it's how you keep your balance and the practice that you keep coming back to your center that keeps orienting you in that alignment and being able to listen within and feel guided. It's
Yeah.
always moving target, constant practice.
Yes. I love that.
Mm.
I think that that's accurate. Yeah. And it's like the I'm fixed and now it's a coast. It's I'm going to coast
Right. You think, oh, it's
versus
gonna be easy.
listening. And yeah, we are constantly evolving.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so true.
And so I am interested. You have had so much experience in this work, and just your childhood sounds like the opposite of mine for sure.
Mm.
Uh, so, in all of this experience, tell us what comes forward for you in your work and your experience when you hear the word trigger, and
Mm.
how do you move through a trigger, or how do you coach others to feel a trigger coming on, and then yet stay or return to like authenticity and our values.
Yes, that's a big and beautiful question because the trigger, the initial moment of feeling, what I say to people is you've got to learn what that feels like in your body and go back in your mind to a time when you felt triggered to kind of feel the heat or the freeze or the, you
Mm,
know, stress however you feel it, and
yeah.
then learn to recognize when that is what gets triggered, because
Mm,
first off, it is a body sensation, and to listen to our bodies and be guided through that is, I think, one of our biggest tools. And then, the way I responded to a trigger 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago, different from how I respond to a trigger now. So now, and the tools that I teach, it's really a lot about observation
mhm,
and breath work. So holding that viewpoint, I like to call, actually, I get it from Denise Lin, the founder of Soul Coaching. She calls it the sacred observer. If you can look from a higher perspective outside of yourself that is looking for your highest good and can see from a more objective, less emotionally charged point of view, then you can see things a little bit more truthfully as they are instead of through the lens that that trigger is being viewed.
Mhm.
Because that's the one thing about a trigger, is that you're just looking at it through this past experience of trauma, and it's a very narrow view. So if you can take this sacred observer standpoint and see, like, okay, acknowledge that you're triggered, feel the feelings in the body, and biochemically it only lasts 90 seconds to have a flash of anger or to go through fear or those sorts of stress hormones that get put out into the body, unless you retell the story over and over again, because you can be angry for years if you continue to tell the same story. So for me, I want to look at the story that I'm telling and I listen. And that's that sacred observer, as I look at, what did I just say about that situation or that person? What did I just think? And is that the way I want to think? Because that brings me to, we all have choice in everything. You may feel really stuck or like right now there's, I'm not even going to bring up a lot of political drama, but even just wearing a mask has been a challenge for people, and it's not a choice, but it is a choice to change the orientation of where that comes from internally, why you would wear it or why you would not, or what you can do with or without it. We do have a lot of options there. It's just that narrow viewpoint that you want to look at it through that might cause you to have those trigger responses and feel stressed out about it.
Mhm. So I'm hearing listen to your body, observe as the sacred observer,
Mhm.
and breathwork. Can you expand on the actually, you know what? We talked earlier about a demonstration.
Yeah.
So it would that be, is there a breath work that you recommend
I do
leaning
have a
on when
great
you
technique.
yeah, okay,
Yes.
great.
I mean, any deep breathing where you're really tapping into the present moment and feeling your body works great. So if someone has a great technique, they're like, yeah, I count to 10 and I just breathe, like, that's wonderful. Any sort of conscious breathing is great. But the technique I love to teach, and we can do it now together just to have an experience of it, is called the four corner breath. And it gives you a chance to count, which helps you refocus your mind. We count 1, 2, 3, 4 as you breathe in, hold for 4, and count, and then slowly release the breath, counting down, and then holding your body empty for 4 counts. And we can do it together. I'll sort of guide everyone through. But that slow, methodical, and I think of it like a box and I kind of follow it in my mind. You get a chance to focus on something other than the problem or the challenge. You get to massage your vagus nerve, which is the controlling nervous system pathway for our fight or flight. And it gets you back into the parasympathetic mode of relaxation. And so let's just do it for a second. Or we'll do like 2 or 3 rounds of, and if you're driving, just stay really focused on what you're doing. You don't need to close your eyes for any breath work, which is amazing because nobody knows you're doing it if you're thinking it in your mind. And you could be at the grocery store standing in line being all frustrated because you're in a rush, and just breathe like this. So just take a slow, deep breath in and count to 4. Hold at the top and feel the fullness and expansion of your chest. Counting, and then slow release. 1, 2, 3, 4, and holding empty. And just feeling that stillness for 4 counts before you slowly breathe in again. And then hold at the top, feeling that expansion for 4 counts. And then slowly releasing it. And then holding. And then you can go back to normal breathing, and just that level of calming down is a way to focus and handle any situation with more clarity and more groundedness. And you're actually oxygenating your brain, so you're getting more critical thinking skills activated. I mean, there's just so many benefits to breathing.
That was nice. And I like how you mentioned that you visualize almost as a box in, hold, out, hold, in, hold, out, hold. I'm a very visual person. And so that actually does help to almost see it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I can do it kind of within your body. And
Yeah.
yeah, I do kind of let the timeline go tick, 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 tick when I'm at the base or at the top of the box, and then the
Yeah.
lifting and the it's a very like you can move in your mind even if you don't want to be observed as moving around in the
Yeah.
grocery store line or something.
Right. Massaging. Massaging from the inside.
Yeah.
And that is making me think of being playful and that,
Yeah.
moving around. How do you implement play in your life or your work? And how does
Mhm.
it help you step into your freedom and your power and feeling expansive?
I would say joy is one of my number one values, and
Mm,
having that playfulness to bring about that feeling of joy is one of the most pleasurable experiences I feel like my body can have on this planet. So I try to do it as much as possible. As much as certain aspects of my work might take what might feel like drudgery when it comes to emails or computer work or whatever, I still will try to bring in play. So if that's music in the background or setting a timer to get up and play with my dog or go for a walk and listen to the birds or any little joyful, playful,
mm,
dancing, moment that I can insert into my day is always adding that pleasure to my experience. So I am really focused on it and I love to help my clients find their joy and what helps them feel more joyful.
mm.
Um, and one of the things I know you're going to ask me, but I'm going to say it is I use an affirmation. It's actually more like a question to initiate joy. If there's a moment where I'm like, oh, this is not going to be a fun project, I don't really want to do this, like cleaning out the garage or something, which I had to do recently because the clutter clearing is high on my list of things to help me clarify and get focus in my life. But I asked the question of my brain because your brain is a supercomputer and will answer any question you ask it,
Mm,
including negative ones. So we want to focus on positive questions like, how can I experience more joy right now? It's your brain will actually answer your question. Oh, well, what would be more joyful right now? Getting out and running in the grass or
mm,
putting on some music, or it can be really simple. And I have coached clients to do this when they're at work. How can I have more joy right now? Maybe it's telling a joke to your coworker, maybe it's doing something fun on your break, but we can always bring in more joy and more play, and it's just getting creative and coming up with creative solutions in the moment depending on where you are.
yes, I hear that. Get creative in the moment. Actually, I don't know if you can hear it, but right now, my the rest of my family, they are playing a Nerf blaster uh, competition, or I guess Nerf gun war would be the most direct way to say it. But I can hear so many doors slamming right now throughout the rest of my
I
house.
can't hear
Oh,
any
I'm
of
so
that. Your
glad. I'm
microphone
so
must
glad.
be excellent.
Well, you get the good microphone.
Mhm.
Yes, but I can hear them screeching and screaming, and oh, it's fun. It's fun. But yes, so
Joyful.
there's nothing like having kids to remind you of the need to bring in the play,
Yeah,
to
they are
focus.
masters of joy. They're
Yes.
not limited the way that we limit ourselves.
Yes.
We think we have to do and we should do, and we get boxed out of that expansive creativity.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Oh man, my kids and I had a beautiful conversation this morning. Well, I'm not sure. This might not be the right moment for this, but my daughter actually, she said, I had said something positive about how excited I was. Oh, I was doing my gratitudes and I was saying them out loud to just kind of to lead by example and
Mhm.
tell her that I was doing my gratitudes. And I said, I'm grateful for this interview series. And and then I was naming some people. I'm grateful for all the leaders that have come forward, and I'm grateful for this amazing business coach that I have, and I'm grateful for her amazing assistant. And so I'm sharing this with my daughter, and she says, "Mom, how is your work preventing people from getting the coronavirus?" I was like, "Oh, um,
Left
and
field.
yeah." And I was just like, "Wow, that's how your brain works." And I said, I really feel as though the discussions we're having and the way that these individuals hold space for humanity,
Mm,
reawakening and getting away from the I need to have more stuff, or I need to be prettier, or I need to change myself somehow to feel fulfilled. These individuals are living their lives to help humankind shift from the thinking of I'm not enough to the thinking that we are all connected, we are all enough, we all have amazing gifts. And so what you just said right there was, we shut down the creativity, and we get into like, automatons. I have to have this, I have to do this, I have to be in a state of doing and busyness. And anyway, I thought my answer was like, she totally caught me off guard. And I was like, yeah, how is my work helping people? And I was telling her, it builds your immunity. It builds,
yeah,
you build greater health when you start to respect who you are more. You
yes,
you make fewer, I feel as though we make fewer self-harming choices.
yeah.
And so that was a curveball. That's my curveball today. So,
We get
so
so many of those as parents too, and
yes,
life.
yeah,
I mean, even right now, you can just say the coronavirus is such a curveball. We're all having to adapt and learn how to pivot and change and grow
yeah,
with what's going on.
mhm,
And these skills are essential to that level of being able to pivot and grow and change in different ways.
yes. And I actually loved her question. I think I may end up
Yeah.
maybe do some journaling on that and write how I feel about,
Yeah.
what this work gets to do, and, step deeper into the mission and the vision. And yeah, how
Yeah.
are you shifting the world so that we are all not, going into the hospital on a gurney? What are we doing? How are
Yeah.
we helping people shift?
Right.
So that is making me think of this beautiful question. The title of the series is Living Limitless. And what comes forward for you when you
Mm.
hear that phrase?
I love the idea of being limitless because that's my spiritual orientation, my belief system around what it means to be connected to spirit and have that energy within us and all around us. There's just this limitlessness to how we can experience spirit and the physical together, and that's a lot of it is based on how we create our internal structure. Some of it is what we're born with and some of it's what we've grown through, but to get to have this ability to choose and grow and create is it's just such a miracle. It's such a magnificent experience. So that you mentioned the gratitudes, like I am just so grateful for any chance I get to expand in a new way, to learn a new tool that's useful. And I really believe that we have choices. And so getting out of the belief systems that are limiting us into more, it's a belief shift into a decision that you have what you need within you. It's the self-worth, it's creativity. There's so much that goes into believing you have choice, but once you recognize it, then there is this unlimited possibility of learning and growing and expanding.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think about it a lot because that's totally it's been my goal for a really long time to grow like that.
Yes. Yeah. I heard you say the word expanding multiple times. And it's interesting how that keeps coming forward for me, is that if we can stand for all of us, stepping into our freedom, moving beyond the misbeliefs that we've bought into, for ourselves and really shift, we get to, that to me, that is the definition of then expanding. We get
Mhm.
to step into potential, we get to step into possibility. And we literally, I mean, maybe, I don't know about literally, I get to study my quantum physics a bit more, but we begin to expand, at least we're expanding our horizon and how we feel inside. It's like your heart gets to open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that openness and it's a concept. It's more of an idea that we get to live out of. And that gives us these these abilities, these choices. Yeah.
So, what practices are you instilling in your life to be in a more awakened state, more feeling more expansive, or walking through life in a higher vibration? What do you do, or how do you be? What do you do?
I totally follow a lot of what Eckhart Tolle says about presence and living in the present moment. And so the biggest tool I have to do that is to start my day with meditation and having that conscious presence. And it's like a muscle that if you
Mhm.
exercise that and you give strength to that part of yourself that can hold the present moment consciousness, then you're not being pulled by those programmed beliefs from the past and you're not in fear and worry about the future. You can really take the moment for what it is. There's so much joy available in the present moment. And anytime those undesirable moments happen where you're like, ooh, wish this wasn't happening right now, just going back internally to that breath and conscious present moment, because in the present, nothing is good or bad. In the present, it is what it is, and it's how we relate to it that gives us those feelings of happiness or joy or pleasure, or how we get stuck in that spiral of stress and negativity. And it really is taking us out of the moment.
Yeah.
So present moment awareness and through meditation is my number one tool. Meditation and breath work. Gosh, they're both so so useful.
Yes. Yes. And so the breath work. And do you have Are they one and the same for you? Is the meditative practice also the breath work? Would you say that as far as a daily practice for you, is there a meditative practice and the breath work practice that are
I do
standalones?
think they're kind of together, and definitely I use breath to enter into that meditative state. So,
Mm,
using the set body sensations of experiencing breath, and each breath is a present moment. So,
mm,
it's a moving target because your body is expanding and opening with the breath. It's feeling sensations of coolness as you breathe in and then warmth as you breathe out. You can feel muscles moving, you can feel, rib cage expanding. So taking that practice of conscious breathing
mm,
as a meditation, you can do that anytime. So I do that regularly. Sometimes people look over at me and they're like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yep, just breathing." Just taking a deep breath and being really aware in the moment. But it's a good moment because I can take a deep breath.
mm,
And then my meditation practice can last anywhere from 10 minutes of silence or, light background music to I have a 20-minute practice where I do these 5-minute intervals of conscious awareness. Practice is always 5 minutes. It's just my number one grounding technique that I do. And then I take 5 minutes of my meditation, if I'm doing this type, to say gratitudes. And I love to do that all throughout the day, but daily, at least in my meditation practice. I'll take 5 minutes to then envision my day and put positive energy out to people or through events that I need, things I need to do. So it's not like mind chatter, it's more intentional, conscious intending for what I
mm,
want for my day. And then that stillness of letting your intuition and your openness to the divine receive the messages of the day. Listen to the soul speak. It comes as whispers, it comes as images. And that meditation has been really one of my favorite practices to I continue to go back to. Sometimes I listen to guided meditations and I love visualizations, And I do that for my clients in a soul journey meditation. A lot of times you can ask questions when you're in a meditative state that come from the subconscious, unconscious mind, or a wisdom from the collective unconscious mind. And so that's one of the things I do in the one-on-one sessions with people. It can be really powerful. But for me, it is a practice that I value for day-to-day use in so many ways. And it always gives me that sense of peace and the centeredness to then go through the day and pivot and flow and move with my day instead of feeling resistance and the walls and the, you know, fears.
Thank you for sharing that. I
Mm.
love that meditation is such a grounding piece. How do you treat yourself on days that you miss it?
Mm. I've gone back and forth on this, so I'm glad you asked. I've come to a place now that if I don't meditate for a few days and I notice, like, whoa, what happened? What I noticed is that I was
Yeah.
choosing something else
Mhm.
and I was enjoying it.
Mm,
So I really just honor that in the moment, I was living in the moment. And, if it was having to, you know, tend to my child or take care of something, more immediate that was very important. It's
yeah.
like, well, then can't be hard on myself for that. That was important. Um, I love to snuggle in bed and sleep in sometimes. And so every once in a while we go straight to breakfast and don't stop to meditate. Um, but anytime I notice like, oh, it's been a little while or I haven't meditated today, I just take a moment. And a lot of times, especially us women and mamas and parents, we can find that moment in the bathroom because people leave you alone in there and you're by yourself. And
So
it's
true.
nice to just sit there and be like, okay, this is my meditative minute. I just get to sit and ground and breathe and you can recenter in a moment of intention. So it doesn't have to be a 45-minute practice. It can be just the intention to sit in a mindful moment,
Mm,
and it eases my mind to think that way
yeah.
instead of trying to be hard on myself for not following a rigid, practice. It's like I feel better when I do it regularly, and the world is this ebb and flow, and some things are complete paradox, so you just have to go
Mhm.
with it.
Yes. I I was asking for a friend.
Follow your own inner cycle. I find the moon to be a wonderful guide for cycles. And so I follow, and I don't think I mentioned this to you actually. I host a free Wednesday night meditation moon circle where we focus on the new moon and the full moon and just feeling the energetic pull and cycles within,
Mm,
and meditate together for 10 minutes. And it's something we could include in the information that
yeah.
everybody gets.
Awesome. That is fun. That's something I've been learning more and more about. It's kind of the deeper you get into the spiritual work, the more likely there's going to be talk about how our bodies react and what our story can be connected to in regards to planets, sun, moon, all
Yes,
of that.
those we are physical beings. We're part of Mother Nature, and it all happens in cycles. The four directions and how we honor how the sun moves and the flow. Once you tap into that, then there's a sense of trust and understanding that you can lean into, and it gives an understanding of the chaos of the chance, who knows what's going to happen, that we all live in more and more lately. It
Yeah.
gives a sense of routine and rhythm to the cycles around you that then you can reflect internally upon, and really has helped me so much, especially during COVID. I actually started it as a Zoom virtual thing when we got into the first set of lockdowns in 2020, because it was like I needed my community. I wanted to share a tool that I use, and it helped me to stay on track and a rhythm and focusing. So yeah,
Outstanding. Well, I'm excited to check that out. That sounds fun.
yeah,
Sounds
please
like a
join
fun
us.
group. And so I have a question that is coming forward. Do you believe that creativity and resilience are intertwined?
Yes, absolutely. Creativity and resilience. I think being resilient, being strong within yourself is because you know you have balance and choice. And so having that creativity to find a different way when you're up against a wall or having a difficult moment, that creativity is essential to me to know and help my brain to come up with a different option, a choice, and a way through. Absolutely, creativity is so essential.
Yes. I sometimes I almost think that we have to be resilient to create time to stand in the value of making time for being creative. It
Mm,
seems that our world, in my experience, our world, it seems to program, it almost tries to program that out of us. I know
mhm.
that schools are, there are many less hours and minutes in their school week for art
Yeah.
and music. It's just for two examples of just two pieces and the study of instruments. So I feel as though our world is kind of it has a tendency to put more value on non-creative time or
Yeah.
more like, well, what are you doing? Well, what was the output, you know?
Mhm. It's a
And
value system, isn't it?
yeah,
Totally. Yeah.
yeah.
Resiliency is so important to being able to pivot and deal with change. So
Mhm.
the creative options that we come up with as ways to get out of the little boxes that we've either feel stuck in or created ourselves or society puts us in is a huge part of feeling that expansiveness and the ability to stay connected to the divine, the openness and
Mhm.
limitlessness of
Right. Yes. And so, Alicia, I am wanting to make sure that our audience gets to experience your work on an even deeper, more personal level. I understand that you have a perk or a gift that you would like to share with our audience members. And what is it? How can we get it?
Yay. Please sign up for this wonderful meditation that I have created. It's a 10-day challenge to try to get some inspiration and rhythm into your meditation practice. So the recording is 10 minutes long, and the emails come with a little bit to read, not much. It's just a little bit of inspiration for the day. And then what I tell people is set your alarm in the morning for 10 minutes earlier, open the email, listen to that meditation. It's full of guided affirmations for positivity for the day. And you can really do a lot of the things we talked about here by just creating that as a routine and then expanding from there, deepening and choosing, your own inspiring meditations from there. But I love to get people jump started in that practice. So
Yes.
if
Well,
that's
yeah. And
interesting to people, they can click that link.
yeah. How long have you been sharing your meditations through Insight Timer and YouTube?
A couple of years, actually. I found Insight Timer over 3 years ago and meditated with it as just someone who loved meditating.
Hmm.
I love the app and how it keeps track and gives you gold stars for 10 days in
Hmm.
a row and shows you when you've meditated for 300 days. It's super fun. It's
Hmm.
almost like they video gamized
Right.
real life. And I like
Yeah.
that because people need some incentivizing and excitement. And, but it also gives you so many options. So the timer part of it and how I've set up to have a bell for every 5 minutes for that
Mhm.
meditation I explained that I do,
Yeah.
it's made it so easy to just create my own meditative practice how I like it. And then I have 4 meditations published on Insight Timer right now. And one of them is that morning meditation that people can use ongoing. And then a quick 5 minute grounding meditation, which I could do here with you if you want everybody to experience it right now. but there's so many options. And on YouTube, I actually record the meditation from my moon circle for the new moon, for the full moon, and they each have a different energy because of the astrology and the season.
Mhm.
So I record those and put them on Insight Timer as well. And all of my soul coaching practice, which is a 28-day program,
Mm.
is available through a couple different ways. And through my website, sometimes people will use the Insight Timer, or I mean the YouTube video links that I created with that. So
Mm.
it's been fun to expand that way. And then with the podcast here, just brand new launching, it's a lot of ways
7
to
days or
yes,
in a week. Mhm.
it's happening. It's so exciting.
That is exciting. So,
Yeah.
Alicia, I am feeling as though there's an audience member watching or listening and is feeling the connection to you, is maybe about, is curious about crossing the line. Their life would change amazingly if they worked with you. What would you like to say to that person?
Oh, it's so exciting to step into that experience. And if people feel aligned and like the way that I speak or the energy that I bring, I give my whole heart to the practice of helping people and that expansiveness. I live for those aha moments and to see someone wake up to and shift out of something that is really upsetting them or that they don't want and they're ready to let go of into this new way of being in the world, because the more people that are like that, the more peaceful and loving and kind the whole world will be. And our whole ascension of evolution process, it really takes each of us doing this work. And I'm so excited to be available and help these people. So I would love to work with anyone feeling connected to me.
Well, thank you, Alicia. And I want to recommend Alicia so highly. I'm grateful to the people who introduced us, who brought Alicia and I together, and just really look forward to following your work, your podcast, your YouTube. There's just lots of ways to experience your work. And this Wednesday night moon cycle group sounds really fun. Sounds like a great way to really
Yeah.
tap in, especially since it would be in the evening. That's interesting because I have a lot of morning routines and I
Mhm.
really get to step into some stronger evening routines, being in that gratitude as I'm closing my eyes instead of like, oh, falling over, falling over. But
Yeah.
so I'm just so grateful, and I can't wait to experience this again. Maybe we'll do it in a few months. We'll do this again. That would
That
be
it was lovely to get to sit and chat with you. You've got such beautiful energy. I'm sure that all of these people coming together and the listeners are going to feel so enhanced in their life by getting to
yeah.
have connected with us. So
Yeah, the
thank
goal,
you.
thank you. The goal really is to inspire and support and offer generously tools and just, being
Yeah.
real about our stories, being real about breakdowns and breakthroughs and where we falter, how, triggers happening, how can we move through them? So you've really helped in the sharing of your wisdom and the generosity of your time.
Mhm. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would like to say to our audience, you made it to Living Limitless. Play your way to freedom. I am Andrea Luzon. Thank you for being here. Cannot wait till next time.
Mhm.